Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of The Inside. I am Babla Jonathan and we're bringing to you this program from the capital of the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. We are in the town of Bamenda and we are zooming in on the town of Bamenda, headquarters of a region that was declared an economic disaster zone in 2019, and it is, of course, the northwest region is one of the two English-speaking regions afflicted by socio-economic and security instability for close to 6 years today. And we're going to be looking at the security, the social, and even the economic health of particularly the town of Bamenda, and then we'll extend to the other parts of the region. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our first guest today is Mayor Paul Achombang. He is the city mayor of Bamenda. He has been in office since 2020 and he's been at the helm of the management of the affairs of the city of Bamenda. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right, our second guest today is Gabi Ambo. He's a civil society leader, human rights advocate and consultant, founder and executive director of Finders Group Initiative, Northwest Focal Point of Dynamic Citoyen Civil Society Organization, and the head of the anti-corruption fight in the Northwest region. Gabi Ambo, welcome.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's an honor to have me here.
All right, I begin with you. The mayor, you are the mayor of Bamenda, and you've been managing the affairs of the city for the past 3 years. And a lot of things have been happening within the past 3 years. You came in to office in the heat of the crisis. What is the state of this town today?
Thank you very much. Indeed, I'm privileged to speak through your media house to the viewers who are in Bamenda and to the viewers beyond the boundaries of Bamenda. Indeed, we 2 years, 3 years running as at the helm of the activities of this municipality. And what should be the state of things can only be compared to what it was when we got it. And from the few points which I can identify, socially we've been able to have an improved social life. At least I can see people move around Bamenda by 8 p.m. today, which was not the case. The rampant issue of ghost towns as it used to be is no longer the case. At least some people move around on Mondays, though most of the places are closed, but there's been a great improvement of people returning back to their duty post on Monday. This is a mark of improvement. Schools, actually some schools were completely shut down, but at least I can inform everybody that schools, all schools in Bamenda, especially state-owned schools, are fully operational today. Even the mission schools, they are operational. In terms of our markets are equally improving. At least we can see goods from all over the country and all over the world finding their place on the shelves of our traders. People who had escaped towns, a good number of them are returning. The exodus which we used to experience in the days when I got to office has actually dropped. So we find now, instead of more people leaving Bamenda, we find more people coming back to Bamenda. So I think this is a mark of an improved social situation in Bamenda. In terms of security, well, I'd like to inform you that ambushment, kidnapping had grossly witnessed a drop. And new dynamics instituted by some other people, we're still working out a methodology to overcome them. For instance, bombs, local-made grenades are still a common day use instruments to exercise terror. We equally have the sense of when we got in, health challenges were many. There was COVID, COVID-1, COVID-2. I can assure you that we went all the way and we could put this wonderful situation under control in Bamenda. Now, just to assure you that what we're still struggling to do is the challenge that is before us. And the challenge before us is the reorientation of the mindset of our people. And we have to take them out from what the orientation was before the crisis and to what it is now.
You certainly tell us more about that and how you are going about trying to change that mindset, how to take out of the minds of, I guess, particularly the young people, some of the things that compel them to get into some activities that we know about. But about the security aspect, while we're coming here, we had some sporadic gunshots. Even while we got here, at least 3 times we heard some sporadic gunshots. How are you going about bringing these happenings to an end, or reducing, as you have said?
It's not just an issue of sporadic gunshots. Before now, gunshots had been a lifestyle, a way of life in Bamenda. Could have gunshots within the day for close to 3-4 hours. And when it does happen, the entire Bamenda is shut down. Every other place closes up. The public services close down. The courts, the markets, even the taxis no longer ply the road. That is what I can now call a marked improvement. You heard the gunshots, it was localized. While that locality is experiencing some gunshots, the other localities in Bamenda, they are in full function. This is a mark of improvement. Before, the whole town would just have shut down. So in a short while, wherever you heard these gunshots, life will soon return to normal.
So it's almost a normal thing.
It's a day-to-day affair, but it's not normal, because what I can proudly tell you is that it was before a war, because it was almost like you could see battle equipments jumping in and out, but now we are traversing what I can call a normalization period. Or rather, I'll call it even a stabilization moment. We're trying to stabilize the society. We're trying to stabilize the town. As soon as we can stabilize the town, we'll move to the next stage, which I think that will be a stage of normalization, when fully the activities of this municipality will come back to normal. So these are the 3 stages. We've gone out of the wartime, we've moved to this stabilization, and in a short while, we're getting into the normal situation.
Gabi Ambu, with the human right eyes, are you perceiving this twist of affairs in the town of Bamenda and probably across the northwest region, the drastic drop in hostilities, according to the mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, once more. Thank you, the Lord Mayor, for stating the positions you have stated. I will agree to an extent what the Lord Mayor has said. There's a great reduction in the arms race, I call it an arm race, and then the situation of security per se, that in terms of access, to the various communities and to move to the villages and all of that, but it is not as much as it is stated. But that the incidences of violations, in as much as they have reduced, the categories of violations are gross and they remain gross, because we still have incidents of extrajudicial executions that are going on, though in smaller quantity, not in the wide scale that it used to be. But what concerns us as human rights defenders and human rights advocates is, the category of violation that actually is carried out. If we still have extrajudicial executions, it tells you that there's that reign of impunity, and maybe the authorities are not doing what they ought to do, or they are having challenges in being able to address the situation, because the situation is, is challenging to even the government and those actually that are on ground here. So we think that there will still definitely be that great need, first of all, to roll off what's going on ground. And to roll it off, you need to know what it is. Call it by its name. And when you call it by its name, you come up with modus operandi on how to maybe readdress the situation rather than getting into normalcy. Because we definitely don't get into normalcy without finding the root cause and the origin of what actually brought us where we are. And when that is done, we'll now come out with a clear way forward that definitely will respond now to the concerns that led the people to take arms, that led the people to get on the street, that led the people to have the mentality they had at the time they did, that which I don't think much of it has actually gone down the drain. It might have calmed down, which I agree with the Lord Mayor, the city mayor, that there's seeming normalcy. But you realize, like you stated yourself, that while you arrived here, there was that sporadic gunshots that you were getting. You wouldn't even know where the gunshots are coming from. And so this is a situation that would seem to have normalcy, but at one moment you would just get this coming on. This doesn't make life bearing for citizens who deserve protection and guidance from the state, to which they definitely are supposed to be answerable in everything that they are doing.
Can we say that at this point we can perceive some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of return to peace and normalcy?
It seemingly appears so. My challenge there is, we don't just have to let it go that it's going down the drain. Let's be part of that, making it happen the way it's happening. And the only way we can do this, we get to start talking, whichever form we're going to do. If first form of talking didn't work, and the second form is definitely not working, let's look up to the third and get the potential actors, or the key actors, the stakeholders on ground, to contribute to your quota, like the city mayor just said there, that there's normalcy coming on. But what happened? How is it coming on? Who has contributed in the normalcy? Is it going to be lasting, or it's not going to be lasting? Can someone give us answers to this? That will help us quite well to know we're on a good track. Because if the normalcy is coming on because the people have changed tactics, it does not necessarily mean that something good's happening on ground. And this is for us to measure and see from the belligerent camps. What has the government done? What has the non-state armed groups or the Amazonian separatists or independent fighters are doing at their level to contribute in the normalcy on ground? Because we all need this. The citizens need all of this, from the both sides to be able to fare on.
We have to keep talking. You said that. We have to keep talking. And the city mayor, Bamenda, has been talking during a ceremony in remembrance of the passing away or the disappearance, as it is said, in the Mancon land of the Fon of Mancon, Fonangwafo III. You called on separatist fighters to drop their weapons and embrace peace. Do you feel, or do you have the impression that call has gone through? Is it being heard by those to whom it was addressed?
Permit me go back to what my brother just said a while ago. And I tell you that he did mention an issue of the root cause. A while ago, I said the root cause of these things is the orientation of the mindset. You can't talk with somebody whose mind is not with you. And those who are responsible at a given moment are not just the state. NGOs, human rights activists, they themselves are supposed to realize that they have a lot to contribute to the reorientation of the mindset of the people who are in trouble. If the mindset of the people who picked up arms against the state, they think in way of using arms they can resolve their worries, It is now the place of the NGOs and the human rights to inform them that, look, the way you're doing it, you're not going to get there. If they can see in their mind that this way of using arms will not take them where they want to go, and these NGOs could give them a better alternative to getting there without using arms, I can assure you, they will reason, they will listen rather, and reason, and of course, this is a way of getting it up. In the same way, they could do same for the government. Look, government, the way you are using arms, you're either using it too much or too little, and if you do it this way, look at the repercussion. We rather propose that you change the methodology with which you handle the situation to this other one. And in this way, I mean, there could be always, and the government itself is operating on the mind. And that's what they call the government policy. That's the mind of the government. So if you think you can shower insults on the government, you shower insults on the armed people who've picked up arms against the government, I tell you, everybody will start thinking, oh, you are siding with X, you are siding with B, you don't want us out, and this crisis will keep on going. But as I said, at the burial or at the Fawn's Palace, all things are gone. Behold, all things got to be new. The old ways of looking at things are gone. If we fail to let go the old ways of looking at things, we see no future for us. And this is what I'm saying, irrespective of your status, irrespective of your academic level, irrespective of your position in government or in society, we must have a change of mind. I have taken these issues to various congregations, to various parishes, to the mosque, and I've told them, listen to me, and they did listen. I don't have any record from scripture that has told me that you can use arms to get what you want. I've not seen it. There has been plenty of options before us that we would have used and to get to where we want to get to. I gave them the example. We said, oh, our children must have a better form of education. Is this the better form of education we've had? Categorically, no. Why? Because we decided to use arms against the students, use arms against the teachers, we use arms against the facilitators of this academic process, and yet now we thought we could get there, but finally we are nowhere as to what we dreamt of. People who emulated what we had before, take for instance, the Anglophone system of children dressing well to go to school. You cross over matters in here, you will see them dressing and they're looking good while they go to school. But here now, is that a better situation? No. Why? Because we've resorted to. So have we moved from a good to a better position? I think the answer blows in the wind. And those who assist in funding this kind of thing, if you go deep down in it, you'll see that these are big people who have gone to school. One, some of them benefited school free. I'll give you an example. I went to primary school class 1 to 5. I didn't pay school fees. In a mission school, I didn't pay. I went to the secondary school, which is a mission school, Cameroon Protestant College, Bali. I enjoyed a government scholarship. I enjoyed so many people traveling distances all over the world to come and teach me. We had teachers from Switzerland, we had teachers from India, we had teachers from the US. They came here only to impart this knowledge to me and to my friends and my colleagues. How then at this point in time, having had all this benefit, I will stop other children from going to school? If they don't want to hear, I use force. These are the things which I try to tell them that it is not good. It will drive us nowhere. There is no middle ground about it. Thirdly, if we go on this agenda repeatedly, we will be creating an oblique future for our children. There's an age of learning. And when these children traverse this age, they will be able to absorb whatever comes their way. Not really like trying to say that the past is the past. We must know that what has brought us to where we are is because our irresponsive methodology to crisis. I'll give you this one which you just raised up a while ago, the Mancho BBC era. I was a big advocate that Mancho BBC should not have been jailed. I'll say it again and I'll say it again. He raised an argument which the authorities responded with a lot of, I don't know. They really responded with some kind of blind ear. They blinded their ears to what he raised. Actually, the roads were bad. Indeed, they were absolutely very bad. In my own opinion, we would have warned him that the approach of carrying a coffin and marching and parading the streets was a bad omen. And he should desist from it. Thereafter, we go back to repairing the roads and fixing it to be what it ought to be. But the more we try to see only the wrong in what he did, and we fail to see that actually the roads were bad, then the population sided with Mancho. The population saw with him, and now everything became way. Right. But let me just round up this point. So when that happens, we are where we are. Now the state of the roads are not as even better than we thought, whereas we're making efforts to see that these roads can come back to some kind of a state of passability. Remember, when there's no peace, nobody can work.
You have been preaching peace, and you said you have gone to congregations, you have gone to the mosque, and so on. This mindset, this war mindset, so to speak, how much is it an obstruction to the message?
To be honest with you, and from the real sense of it, once a man is not well oriented, you do me, I do you. Tit for tat, vengeance for vengeance. But if a person should be able to be taught that there is more power in forgiveness than in vengeance, then you would find out that people will be quick to forgive one another and quick to execute. And that power is what we call peace. It is just because a good number of people are unwilling, and I repeat this very clearly, unwilling to forgive one another. Okay, because your son came out, he joined the armed terrorists, they burned my house, so I go join another armed terrorist camp, we come and burn 2 of your houses, and it keeps on going on. Look at the situation today. Most of the people who have been kidnapped and tortured as blacklegs and this are Anglophones, by one family to the other. If we continue in this dimension, where the hell do we get to? Until we get to the point of understanding that our minds are the author of these problems. We need to forgive one another. We need to discard of the past. Without this, it becomes difficult for us to chart the future. Vengeance, as I said, is at the core front. You slap one soldier of the government, the soldier slap 10 of you. You slap one ambassador, as an ambassador slaps the other one. So that is how it has been. And I keep on repeating this issue, whether it comes from Mbelewa, Akananku, Goro Batanga, Marwa, Kaele, Bakasi. You live in Bamenda, you are an Abakwa boy, you are an Abakwa girl. You have a right to be here. Nobody has any reason to tell you that, oh no, you are a stranger. It is not admitted.
The Cameroonian should feel at home everywhere. Yes, we should. All right, Gabi, what is stopping this very important ingredient in the peace process? I'm talking about forgiveness. Why is it so difficult for us to forgive one another in this whole situation?
Thank you, Jonathan. I wish to say that we must be honest. That's one of the elements. No, integrity demands honesty, transparency, and accountability. That makes the dignity of a human being, the integrity of a human being. When one of these, 2 of these elements leave you, you're not speaking for the people anymore, and people will see you differently. And that's exactly why the acceptance of peace becomes a challenge, because the most people who see
the need, even like NGOs like the city mayor raised, there are lots of peace programs that are going on ground. But you realize that the community takes it with a pinch of salt because they know deep in their heart that the real reason for which they are where they are is not being taken from an honest angle by the government. To be very clear about that. The government is not taking it honestly. You take the series of actions that the government has engaged to address these concerns, and at what moment it snaps away from it, which is quite challenging. It makes the people to start down. Take the case of the Canadian facilitation issue that just came up of recent, okay, and which the Canadian Foreign Ministry said that they had accepted, that position that was brought onto them by the government. But in 3 days afterwards, just when that announcement was made, in 3 days, it's as if the Cameroon situation had gone back maybe 20, 30 years ago. People were feeling at ease. There was that normalcy, like the city mayor is saying there. But 3 days down the line, the government communique by the Minister of Communication came on and denied that position. And it's like the coal caught everyone again. That, okay, we definitely wouldn't get out of this situation. Let be a government of the people, a government that actually listens to its own people and work for its own people. They will be able to address the concerns of the people. Open those discussions, or we get the neutral persons like you want to get, whichever way you want to do. Let the people see the angle of honesty and transparency and accountability of the government, because that's the responsibility of the people. Like I always say, the government has authority. The people have the power, not the other way around. And because that power is the authority is given to them through elections. Article 21, sub 123 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says that very clearly. And I'm just thinking that the government may have good faith. It may need some advice as well, some guidance on how to be able to move on, to respond to some of these challenges.
Now, on the issue of mindset change.
Yes.
The city mayor has been going from church to church, from mosque to mosque, preaching peace. The head of state has been preaching peace. The authorities have been preaching peace. You of the NGOs, of the civil society, you have been preaching peace and so on. Now, how to have this mindset change? Because I understand from what the city mayor said a while ago that without that mindset change, that peace message will not go through.
Definitely.
So how to have that mindset change? What are you people doing at the level of the civil society?
To get that mindset change, it will take a period of time. Take from 5 to 10 years. But it's a process. It's a process to engage a peace project, to change and orient the people to change their orientation or their mentality. But why do you want to change the people's mentality instead of addressing the concerns that actually have gotten the people there? Because when you address those concerns, that mentality will revolve to its normalcy. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's going to be a simple act as per my rating, as per my finding, as per my studies. When you get to address the root causes, which we may have some little differences there with the city mayor, when we address the root causes as per what they are, that we all understand, we will not need any mindset change or orientation, because things will definitely get back to normal.
Let me take this example. Somebody who is carrying a gun, a young man who is carrying a gun, shooting and so on.
That's different.
And he is listening to the city mayor of Bamenda saying, drop your gun, come out of the bush, let's embrace peace, let's have things working right. And then in his mind, he says he has made up his mind that we will have, in quotes,
that's a specific case I
we
want
will
to
have
address.
our country.
Yes, let me address that specific.
We will have our country.
Let me address it first.
Can that young man drop that gun if he does not have that mindset change?
Of course not. What I wanted to say is that I didn't address our concerns. I was specific on that. What I'm coming back now to the arm issue. It's not acceptable anywhere in the world, picking arms for a just cause. And if that happens without any justification or be an advocate of that, is because of bad governance. I will state it very clearly and loudly, bad governance. If that situation crop up, it's the government that takes responsibility of it. Because if the government managed that problem at the prima facie state, we will definitely not be where we are. We must be honest with ourselves and state these facts very clearly. It has happened already. Now, to talk them out of that situation, it will take what the city mayor has said. We need to get a program to be able to educate the people on what they are doing, how wrong, what their perceptions are, and what they think should be what they need. So they need to get a special training, you know, for all of this, cutting across the belligerent parties, both the military and then the fighters on ground. They need to have separate trainings. I would like to let you know that at the level of my organizations, we're already developing programs, you know, to handle this too. But the content, of course, we definitely cannot be shared here in that regard. So they need education, not just for them, but for the other. But to say, as the education is going on, let's respond not to the concerns on ground and be very true and honest to ourselves and do what's right.
All right, Time, you wanted to add something.
Whatever has been done has been done. Whatever number of houses has been burnt has been burnt. If you go to the table now and you start preaching peace and attaching justice to it, as long as you don't give the justice for the number of houses that have been burnt, you will not see peace. Let me be honest with you. Mr. Ambo, yeah, please, let me be very honest about it. The two things can go together. But it is at this time primarily obligatory that people should be aware of the consequences of their actions. It is evident that even if you have to get something by way of the gun, you will never enjoy it. So if you think because, oh, the state lost 10 armored cars, so justice must be done on the people who destroyed the 10 armored cars, that is where I say we're getting it all wrong. Or because somebody's house was burnt and justice must be done to the person whose house was burnt, we get it all wrong at this hour. So sincerely speaking, if we go on with what we hear, you say, oh, the root cause, the root cause. Now, if we start shaping and shifting responsibilities, oh, the government was bad governance, this was that. Let me tell you, whether you like it or not, at this point in time, nobody will be willing to accept his guilt or his failures without you giving him an option. What do we do? Look, what you're doing in the state is wrong. For the moment, can you stop? Population, what you're doing is wrong. Can you stop? And once there's a calmness of it, the enabler will surely step in. And that enabler is how then can we move on better? Not justice. Justice is for information. But if you say justice, oh, because one died, two must go, this, I am telling you, this is what has been creating this kind of, I don't know, I wasn't part of the Canadian talks anyway. I wasn't part of the negotiation of the Canadian talks. But I tell you, in my own opinion, if truly anyone who is listening to me today get this point clearly, I have come from a background where I can tell you the root causes of the problems from the genesis of this creation has been anger. If you like, I'll go to scripture. I'll tell you that from the book of Genesis. Anger gripped the first man because his sacrifice was accepted and his own was not sacrificed. That was not good governance in heaven. God decided to accept the sacrifice of one person and did not accept the sacrifice of, and anger got into him. And what did he do? He stabbed his brother. That is the same scenario. Until we deal with this anger and put it behind, the state of murder will continue. Anger is a very, very, very bad weapon. Oh, because you didn't govern well, because you didn't do that, and then I must do this, I must do that. If we can't, I repeat again to the NGOs who are in this business, if you can't take away anger, which is actually something which is planted in the mind. Anger is not a feasible object that you can touch. Anger is not a house you can get into. Anger is not a property you can buy. Anger is something which comes from the inside. And I tell you, the solution of our problems today, it's an inside job. We have to get to the inside of a human being. And first to start with, I think intellectuals like Mr. Ambo, who are well read, both from literal language, literal knowledge, to biblical knowledge, to find in scriptures and in way of life that anger has never resolved the problem.
Anger has never resolved the problem. Mr. Ambo, we need to deal with this anger.
Where is anger coming from? Can we look at where anger comes from?
Anger has come because it's a bad governance. When you talk about bad governance, it means that somebody is angry with the way the state has been governed, and so he takes up anger, and that's what I'm saying.
My city man, let's get things very straight.
Yeah.
Where we are 6 years down the line, because we know what happened. It's not about anger. Anger took over from bad governance. Anger took over from.
And it's going.
Anger, yes, of course. And we are not admitting, my city man, we need to admit to the people that there were errors, there were mistakes, and that
there were certainly errors.
We have to admit. When you do not admit, the people definitely will not take you from an honest standpoint. Anything you talk is you're just like wasting time, right? It will not make any impact on ground.
This is my question, Gabi. With the anger, is it possible to do anything? Is it possible to solve anything? Is it possible to think right with anger?
When you're angry, of course you can't do anything when someone is flaring, like the city mayor said. You can't think right when you're angry. You can't think right when you're angry. And to be able to create a situation of normalcy for anger to flow, it takes the party that actually did the wrong to admit that it did wrong. You need to tell them honestly that this is exactly what it went wrong. Let's see what we can do. How can we do it? Talk with the people.
To say you are sorry in real terms must not even come from the person who is wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
It does not necessarily must come from the state, the government, to say, oh, no, people, we are sorry. The people themselves have the power through people like you who are educated to tell the state, okay, well, what we have done is we are sorry. It is a give and take. Let me tell you that in all sincerity, we as parents as well, at one moment or the other, we do offend our children. And we are conscious of the fact that we've offended our children. Yet, because we are the parents, we just wait a while. Then all of a sudden, the child comes back to us to tell us, look, Daddy, I'm sorry. Then, no, you don't need to tell me you are sorry. It's okay. Please come on, son. It's a two-way issue. And this two-way issue comes from the point which I'm saying that on the part of whoever thinks he's wrong, you should put your rightness aside. Go back to the other one, fix it, and on the part of the other one, put about your rightness, go back to the other one and fix it. It's a collective business, and it comes from where? From the inside.
Two wrongs can never make it right. Two wrongs can never make it right. We're going to...
Of course it can never. It has never.
So if, let me explain again further. If, to be honest with you, my dear brother, are you getting me? NGOs, human rights, whosoever they are, they insist on the fact that the government. I want us to know that the government is we. The government is you. And if things go wrong in this society, it is about you, things going wrong with you. So you must ask yourself, let me go back to what this American big man did say. What have you done for your, not what the government has done for you. You must sit back and, this is the crisis. Okay, my brothers, you are angry. Please, can we for a while just keep this thing down and we face this new way of operation? Yes, we can. Can we for a while say, okay, Mr. Government, please, if you stop, not even if you stop, we're no longer interested in fighting. We just want to talk. And if the state does not hear you, you can find a means of showing proof. I give you the example here, which you talk about the issues of Canada. Canadian talks. If somebody is negotiating to talk with you, I tell you this to be very honest, my brother Babs, and you, Ambo. Take it from me now from an ordinary point of view, or you leave it. The day you bring another party to sort out the problem between you and your wife, that's the end of your marriage. Take it from me or you leave it. The day you bring somebody to talk between you and your son, please, from that day, if there's any other problem, you have someone says, no, go out. If that man does not sit here, that makes you unable to manage your household.
That creates an atmosphere of distrust.
Distrust between the two.
And that is also coming, and that is also coming, City Mayor, because of distrust between the population and the government. The people no longer trust their leaders.
Some people, right, and these people who are credible should be able to know that if this talks or whatever it is, I really do not know the foundation of these talks, whether they were negotiated by who. But what I can speak for, I am saying that even when you go to marriage, it is clear what God has put together, nobody should enter. What we need now on the table, as I speak to you, my dear friends, is that we must be able to understand that we in this nation, we in this Anglophone or this English-speaking region, we need peace.
We need peace, Gabi. Beautiful. How to get there? That's the question.
That's quite an interesting...
the question is how to get there. Yes, we need it. We all need it.
That's quite an interesting
the question
call.
Is how to get there.
Yes, we need peace.
We all need it.
But the first question is, what happened to peace? We're calling for peace now. Where did peace go to? It's a good call for peace to come. But what happened to peace? Some years down the line, we never called for peace. 6 years down the line, there was normalcy, everything was okay. We need peace now, agreed. But what happened to the peace that we originally had, that genuine peace that we had? What happened to it? Who killed that peace? That person will help us to get to the peace we need right away.
All right.
For the connections.
Everything should be put on the table. We will go to the newsstands now, and we'll be looking at what the newspapers reported this week in Cameroon. The press review. Thank you for staying with us. Right now, we want to look at the social health of the town of Bamenda, and why not the rest of the northwest region of the country. The security situation is there, and it is also affecting social health. It is also affecting the other aspects of life in the town of Bamenda. Today, Bamenda is more or less a dirty town, so to speak, with heaps of garbage everywhere, and the city council managing and striving to upgrade the hygienic state of the town. City Mayor, what's happening? Why is the town of Bamenda having heaps of garbage almost everywhere around the town, around the food market area, around Travelers, Old Church Junction, Church Street, and Tarikon Market, T Junction, Mitakwata, Kwen, between my 3 and my 4, and almost everywhere around the town?
In all sincerity, there is a company in charge for cleaning up the garbage, and that company is Izaka. By the time we came to office, these garbage mountains were there. And we had to start talking, like as I told you, and I have pictures where we had a mass mobilization of people to go out to the streets to denounce the disturbance of garbage evacuation. We did it so well, and the streets were once again clean. And Ezakam came back. They continued their job from where they met us. Sincerely speaking, all of a sudden, Ezakam again became the target of these horrible attacks. And Ezakam was bound to back out of town. They took away all that which they had to take with them. They withdrew their personnel, they withdrew their equipment, because these attacks were on their personnel. They were kidnapped, the equipment were burnt, and even some areas were forbidden from their vehicles to get them. So they had to leave town. As the city mayor, we were obliged to take some remedial measures, which we took. We called some individuals of this municipality to come out and let us try to clean the town. And I tell you, it was quite a task. One, we had no mandate, we had no contract to clean the town, and we had no funds. The budget of the council did not provide for that, and we hadn't access to the state financing to clean this municipality. We were just doing it. We got some small-time contractors to clean and clean and clean. And the town was seemingly getting cleaner and better. But you know what? I tell you, the new dimension of these atrocities came in. Garbage ships were now explosive sites. Around the police station, explosives were. Around the food market, explosives were put in. Around Tarikon, explosives were there. How can these young men go out again to clean when they know that they will be meeting with explosives? People the press is quick to say, oh, Bamenda is, but I have always explained to everybody who comes around me, please tell everybody that the cleanliness of Bamenda is a collective responsibility. All of us, whether you are in the press, whether you are in the public, or whether you are in the private, or you are of the opinion hole, it is a collective job. You cannot, even as you speak here, if you tell me now that you are going to touch one of the garbage ships now, I would ask you to wait. Let me call the military sector, which is meant to detect explosives, go there and check first. If they don't check and tell you it's okay, you don't go. I'd rather allow the garbage to be there than to add your human body as another part of the garbage. That is what is the situation. I tell you this. If you go up to Bamenda 1, where the environment is adequately, I could say, temporal, you will not find that kind of scene. The garbage in Bamenda is cleared every day as we speak. I have pictures to show you about what is being done in Bamenda 1 up station. It's not because it's an administrative area, but it is because there is guarantee that you can pick up the garbages from where they are. You go down to the Equinoxe market, we are doing the same. We've talked to the traders. They are vigilant about the garbage ship. As soon as they have any information, they report us. We call the authorities, they come and detect, they take away the explosive, we clean. We cannot venture on sites like this when we don't have clearance. People just feel that there's garbage. Yeah. If the people can complain about the garbage, then they should equally be able to complain about those who put explosives in this garbage area. The public security, where they used to drop garbage, carried an explosive. Food market, explosives. Tarikon, explosives.
So the security aspect is making the work quite difficult and much more complex and even demanding than it ought to be. Now, Gabi Ambu, what's your take on this issue that is violating the rights of citizens? Because those who are living around those areas, those who are doing business around Nkwen market, food market and all the rest, they are inhaling toxic odors that are dangerous to their health.
I must admit the declarations of the City Council, Mayor, that this is something actually that has been bothering me over time, and he's just adding to that, and which is actually a troubling situation. And to see even where we got to using a company to go to dispose of waste, when definitely we were managing our own waste ourselves. The city mayor will attest to the fact that he's a Bamenda boy, and he will be able to attest to the fact that before even the coming of the company, there was a method in which we take away our garbage without making noise about it, and there was no extra expenditure on that in that circumstance. But we are faced with the situation on ground now, and many persons are ill, cholera, diarrhea, and you get all of those things because you can imagine how long the heap stays there. Like the city mayor is raising the concern about the dropping of IED materials inside there, and some people may get affected in that circumstance. But then, whichever way it goes, it's actually disturbing. It doesn't speak well for the people. It violates the rights of the people. Right to health definitely is denied the people because and the environment as well. Actually, most of it happens around where people are habited, where people are living, and so they keep inhaling this, you know, for the number of times, for the number of weeks that waste dump is there for that long. So I just think that, well, it would not be the city mayor because he came and met the situation. I thought that this definitely needed to have a review.
The fact that explosive devices are planted in those garbage heaps.
Of course, it's a gross violation. It is some of the fallout of the ongoing protracted armed conflict that's bedeviled in our west and southwest. These are the fallouts of it. Like the city mayor raised issue about the bracing of homes and all of those things. That is not the problem. Those are the fallouts of the problem. And that actually has created additional challenges in the community and causing people violation right to property and right to access to housing and all of those things denied them. Now here, right to life affected because, like he has said, some people have picked, like on Bengwe Road, I can remember, you know, somebody picked those things and then they got exploded and the person died. Okay, whoever it was intended for, that is not supposed to bring down any life. Human life is as expensive, is as very important than any other life. Whether you're a truck pusher, whether you're a president, every human life is important. So we need to protect every human life. If you want to solve a problem by using such methods to harm the very persons you're supposed to protect, then I think they have to rethink that approach, you know, to whatever method they are using, because it is not accepted anywhere in the world. We, the human rights officers, do not accept that in that circumstance. To know, first of all, who did that and why it is being done in that circumstance is not the right method. Like, it is understandable that this is something that can be discussed on the table. We do not need arms at all to get this address and bring it to an end. But we've chosen paths we have chosen. The both parties are responsible for all of this. I'm not shifting blame to one party. All of them are responsible for this. And we're saying that's why we're craving for the indulgence for them to get to sit on the table and get us out of this. Because when they do not start talking, you know, most of us will be exposed to all these actions. And the indigents, the citizens, will be the one who suffer the brunt. And the big ones definitely wouldn't matter. They wouldn't care because they do not expose themselves to all of them.
And this question is coming up again and again. Planting explosive devices. Can it provide any solution?
Of course not. That is why I say it is a fallout of the anger which the city mayor raised. When you get angry, you do the things like I got the story of the snake. I don't know, they call it black snake. When it flattens its face, it doesn't see anymore. But that time, that's the moment that it thinks that it can kill you, it can do anything. That's the moment you can easily kill it. So when somebody is in anger, and the anger has risen to the level, that person is not a human to me, because that person is not sane enough, you know, to be able to move on with the actions the person is taking. So I'll qualify that person at that time as a sick person that needs, you know, treatment.
Right,
Let me ask one question before you move on. Yeah. Mr. Ambo, you are indeed, please, you are a human rights activist.
Yes.
And you've actually spelled out that the amounts of garbage is not really doing good to any human being. Even as I speak to you, that is where we buy most of our produce. Tomatoes, leeks, cabbage, fruits around the food market. No right-minded person would even dare to think that you are buying fruits which are infested with how do you call it? All the kind of bacteria and the kind of things that are around the garbage. Nobody would like that. If somebody would put a mine or a bomb or a grenade in such a place, the essence of this grenade is not just to kill the people who carry the garbage. You should be able to make this analysis. The essence of this grenade is to deter the people from clearing the garbage and indirectly poisoning the people in the market. That is what you must see. And you must tell them that if people die of cholera, whatever it is, they are responsible. It's not the people who maybe aid in government or one thing or the other. They are putting those bombs there to kill the population, irrespective of the dimension of our anger, irrespective of the dimension of our frustration. Please, there is still hope.
I'm going further to look at most especially the food market situation, which comes back to you as the administrator, in the sense that there's real chaos in the food market, okay? And we are craving your indulgence and your leadership and the good offices that you have and the machinery of government to ensure that we clean the food market. What do I mean here? You realize if you pass at the food market, you realize that women or the sellers have left the shirts in the market and have entered midway the road, and there's no passage nor for vehicles to pass, even persons who are buying. So if they can be taken not to the boundaries of the sheds, and so that the road can be free, that would be excellent. That would be a great thing that the city mayor must have done. I'm giving this responsibility to you, your city mayor, to do that for me, because I'll follow you up on that.
Let me come.
I'll get you. 1 minute. Hear me. I have about 4 tricycles which we've bought. We go to the food market and we try to sort out the waste. And we take the waste, that which is organic, that which is biodegradable, we bring it here. I'll show you the farm. It's right behind here. I don't know if you've seen it before. We have a big farm here which we've been using the biodegradable to produce organic crops. We have tomatoes, we have yam, we have, in short, you can name it here. We equally try to take the non-biodegradable waste for further treatment. We've done these things to the extent where it becomes difficult at the moment for us to sort it out there at the source. I'll take you there if you don't mind, a short while from here, just behind my office. Now I'm coming. You talk about the market being moved from, there is an excitement which goes around when the market is apparently not sufficient. The shares we have in the market is not sufficient as to the number of traders we have in that market.
What do you intend to do about that?
That's what I'm going to tell you now.
Yes, go ahead.
For the moment, I have on my table here drawings for a 1,000 shed I'm about to build. We are about to build in that food market. We are providing behind the intervention unit, GMI, a temporary shed where all those who treat at the food market will go there. We hope by the grace of God that in no distant future.
That's beside the primary school, right?
Yes, just below where you see the cell files.
Yes.
We'll move everybody there, and that's the first way of decongesting that street, that road. We're moving them there. Hopefully, by grace, we could do that in the next 2 or 3 weeks or 1 month. Then we can now scrape that area and then start the reconstruction of a ultra-modern market. We're going to do that. Now, when we get to that point now, we're going to make this market in such a way that this market, from the design which I actually insisted to be designed, you're going to have enough parking space. This market is going to carry enough toilet facilities. This market is going to be self-sustained with solar panels that will provide electricity. This market as well will have its own source of water, which will be by a borehole and a reservoir. This market will be adequately cleaned to contain all the facets. It's going to have a bank, an insurance service, a network service, all those things. It will be in this market. In this way, I tell you, the decongestion of that street will be an issue of the history.
Now, back to the garbage issue, Sidime, are you aware that some of your city dwellers are now burning some of the garbage in order to kill the pungent odor oozing from the garbage heaps?
Yes, of course. I would like you to know very well, and to be very sincere with you, when you drop garbage, you don't carry it immediately. It becomes another hazard. Now, most of our dwellers in this city, they cook with sawdust. I hope you know what I mean by sawdust. Sawdust pot where they put wood ash and wood dust and the pound, and then when you cook with sawdust, by the time you finish cooking, not all of the sawdust is consumed, and not all the flame is taken off. But the remain of the sawdust pot you carry as waste and as garbage, and you dump on the garbage heap. What happens? It picks up the flame. The heat or the flames or the fire or whatever it's from this sawdust pot becomes fire.
Not necessarily
Not necessarily that they meant to burn it. Most households, they use this as a way of cooking. Even the people who roast fish on the roadsides, they use charcoal and they don't actually extinguish the ashes from the... When they drop it on the garbage, you cannot see, you will not have fire. It's not a deliberate act. It's an act as a consequence of our inability to clear the garbage on time. So what are we doing about it? As you came in like this, I was just proposing that we're going to get maybe 3-4 vans which will not allow anybody to drop garbage on any heap. These vans will be circulating the town at a given time so that you just drop your garbage in the van and we take it away to the dump site, such that this story of mountains and valleys of garbage will not be there.
Some of the city dwellers were wondering why the fire will appear only in the night, whereas in the day when the sun is overhead the equator, so to speak, there's no fire, but in the night the fire will just appear.
Thank you very much. You know that even when we used to farm in those days with our parents, we used to farm what they call Ankara. You could light the flame. You will not see it well in the day. But in the night, that's when you really see the smoke coming out. Are you getting me? You can throw those things there in the day. Then it gathers steam. And when the temperature is adequate, it heats up and then it produces flame in the night.
How soon will the people of Food Market, Travelers, Old Church Junction and all those areas, how soon will they see what you just talked about?
I can assure you that I have already taken adequate military measures to detect if there are... I hope we don't say this and then the boys go back to put the bombs in the... But so far, I have been assured that there is all the things that were dropped have been taken away. I only can tell you that on the other day when they went to clear the garbage at the Food Market, as they started, boys came with bike and says, please don't do it because we have our job there. We'll come and take it off. When we take it off, before you clear. I'm very sincere to you. That is what happened. And so before I could see it, the drivers whom we had given fuel, given all the assistance, they returned to base, and that was all about the money you spent.
Gabi Ambo, how do you interpret that kind of scenario? They want to clear the garbage, and then the boys come and say, no, stop here, we want to remove our business here.
Thank you so very much. I want to go first to the city mayor. Here's my point of interest. I want to go back to the city mayor. You keep citing the military to help you in your services.
It's okay. But that thing is not right. Because you have
Isn't it their duty to ensure the security of those carrying the garbage?
At that level, they have security over the entire territory. But the city council has a police, if I got it right, which has similar training as well, except that is lacking, which definitely needs to be provided, which we need to know that. And so you should be able to demonstrate some independence as a city council member, you know, to be able to get through your actions. Because it might mean differently in the eyes of other persons when they see that.
So I was always going to tell you that we are not trained. Okay, good. Neither am I trained, nor do I have the necessary equipment to do these things. So if I'm not trained, I don't have the equipment, I don't have any means, I have only to rely on who are they that have it. Because when you want to call the military, it looks like, oh, probably I want to take the military to go and harass people. No, I can only go to them because I know they have the equipment, they have the training, and above and beyond.
The detection and the destruction of explosive devices is actually done by specialists, not even all the soldiers, but specialists who are trained in that. Now, yes, about that scenario, that looks quite...
That's a very bad game. I've actually put it very outrightly. It's a bad game, and actually it's like testing the waters for life. That's in human rights we call a violation, a human rights violation. That's a specific rights violation, the right to life violated, because you're playing with something that can take you in a twinkle of a second and you're gone. Just like playing with something that definitely will eliminate you, all right? So we do not even accept such to happen or to occur. We just need to be informed about such situations, and we intervene from our own various angles the way we ought to do, without necessarily being facially seen in that circumstance, and get the situation changed on ground. So it is not something that we can even toy and joke with. And I was still with your staff who go to collect the waste, or the waste, back there, and then they meet that kind of situation. Their life is threatened because they might be good enough to talk with them. Some will not talk, right? Because of the situation we are living, which is not acceptable in any given situation. So it happens that way. So it's good to take a lot of precautions, I want to say, at that level, to ensure that, now in the absence of the trained experts that you should have, maybe source for them.
We're going to take interviews of the week right now. And when we come back, I'm going to give both of you 2 minutes each to address a message of peace to the people.
The Dio have been called down here at the carrier, where the Dio come and notify us that only 8 houses will be broken down because of the road. And those that will be broken down, all of them, they will be compensated. We accepted. They went further from 8 houses to 40 houses, from 40 houses to 45 houses, from 45 to 50 houses. You get it, what essence? All this place was being owned by monkeys. When we come here, all it was forest. We have walked here, drive out the water far away for us to stay. Since 2008, and you can see the profile of this place is over 4 meters deep. The price of canoe, 1 canoe is how much? It costs a lot. So now they will come after every place have been made ready, and they think that they will snatch it like that, it will be impossible. We have the Anglophones who have been driven out by Amazonians from northwest and southwest. All of them are refugees here. And they have invested their little money that they have in their own pocket in order to sustain a living. Where else will they go? At home they are not at peace. Here in Douala they are not at peace.
Nobody living here but this land. We came here just as we saw others coming to develop this area, because our former government delegate told us that you people are Cameroonians, you have the right to build in government lands, and except when the government will come one day to tell you the people that this land does not belong to you, if he wants to make infrastructures like hospitals and roads, you people will go. And an individual will not come here and drive you people away. But today, it is the contrary.
Our president has been suspended from the Association of Presidents, but we still have the spirit there. It has not, is not an effect on us. So we are still working hard. We have a match tomorrow, and we are preparing so hard for the match. So it doesn't disturb us. So the heads are up, and we'll fight tomorrow for the 3 points. It's not the team that has been suspended from the league, so we'll keep fighting. Yeah, thank you.
The suspension is based on salary issues. How does it affect you as a person?
No, okay, like our president has been saying on the media, he has been managing the team so well. So we the players, we don't have any problem.
Yes, I saw the letter on social media, but they have not yet notified me about the suspension.
What's your reaction to that letter?
I don't have any reaction because I don't know the reason of my suspension. Because what I came out to say, it was for the interest of the club, or the interest of the association. So I'm still waiting for them to notify me. If they notify me, then I'll know what to say.
What exactly was the issue?
The problem is I went out to criticize how Fecafoot is managing their affairs, because we know Fecafoot is our partner. Without Fecafoot, we cannot live, and without the clubs, Fecafoot cannot function. So it came at the time they were complaining about paying of players, and we have an agreement with them that there's a certain amount they have to give to us to add and pay the players. But for a long period, they have not been giving the money. So every day they will come out and say we should pay the players. It seems we were collecting the money from them and we were not paying the players. So when I went out, I said they should always come out and say the truth. If they don't have money, they should not be criticizing the club president.
You're welcome back. I begin with you, City Mayor. Before you do that, I would just want you to tell us about the road network in the town of Bamenda. The situation is still quite poor and even precarious in some parts of the town. And you've put in place a project to rehabilitate the secondary roads. What have you been able to do so far? And are the people feeling the impact? When we go around, we still see quite a good number of roads that are still in a dilapidated state.
The road network is apparently not the best. I do not try to say it is better. But this has been as our resolve not to allow people work. Workers come to fix the road. You kidnap them. You burn their equipment. I tell you, we launched the road to Chomba. The contractor lost 2 equipments and had to pay a ransom for close to 6 million. We engaged the construction of a bridge so that we can backfill, and then the contractor came. I have the pictures here, how his staff were beaten mercilessly. Their phones and all were taken away. He had to withdraw. We had this other bridge somewhere around Atuokom. We experienced the same thing. We now were forced to remove one of these bridges to do the bridge at the food market, where we had approximately a conducive atmosphere. We built that bridge. We now resolve that, okay, if you feel that your roads are bad, come to us. Come, Quarterhead, whoever they are, come to us. We can fix it together. Tell us this is the state of your road, what you want us to do, and you hold a quarter meeting. All the people of your quarter come out and accept that they really want the road. We now ask you to show proof of your acceptance. When you show proof of your acceptance, either a quarter meeting minutes, we now ask you the questions. Are you ready to guarantee the safety of the personnel and the equipment? You said, yes, we give you. For instance, as I speak here, we've sent the equipment, they've done the road in Abango. They've repaired the tar road there. It is actually under completion. The road to Mbatu and Songwa, we called the funds. They sat here with me. I told them, we explained to them, and they said, okay, it is your road. We'll support you. And they said, are you ready, Mr. Mayor? I said, yes. We are now putting at their disposal all the required equipments, the grader, the compactors, the excavators, the bulldozers. We are putting those, we are hiring them and putting it at their disposal. The people, I think it's from Alakuma, they're here. We gave it to them. I have the pictures. We gave it to them and gave them the means. Go there, and they are now rehabilitating their road. I'll take you back to what happened at the Funds Palace prior to the funeral program. I called all the clan heads of Mancon here. Now the phone is no more. We're going to face a big situation. We're going to be expecting guests from all over the world. Can we manage it in this way, with these roads? I said, I will not dare there if you don't come out. And they said, yes, we will try. They called their quarter meetings and they all accepted that we should fix the road. They came out. We gave them the means and the equipment and every other thing, and the people worked and we repaired the roads. There was no water. We said, okay, we will do the same thing. We sent a few technicians. They brought the local labor, and you go there now and you see a big water project which we have executed here from the city council.
So what you need is the collaboration.
Yes, you go to electricity, there were virtually no lights.
Good to hear that.
You know, I'm telling you what we're doing. We accepted, we studied it together, and you see the lights, the street lights, we paid for it by a collective participation. That is our value. That is our virtue. We are simply saying that the roads in Bamenda, they are not more than us. We cannot make more roads than the people. So the roads are created by the people, and so the people are qualified to repair their roads.
With regards to these things, Lord Mayor, I wanted to look at this camera directly in front of you and address a message of peace to your people.
My dear brothers and sisters of Bamenda, as the city mayor of this wonderful, beautiful town, I have come to you to speak to you that in this new year of 2023, the same words which the Apostle Paul writes to the Christians in Corinth, the old is gone, the new has come. I humbly entreat you, let all things be gone. Let all things now become new. Let us put aside whatever had been our worries. I don't know how many people have slapped you. I don't know how many people have hurt you. I don't know how many people have made you worried and angry. But I come to you not just as a servant of the city, I come to you again as a pastor. Please, to err is human and to forgive is divine. If you do love your nation, if you do love your city, please forgive those who have hurt you. Don't put it to heart. Let it go. Let it go. I ask you and I entreat to you now, wherever you are sitting, learn to forgive your brother. Learn to let it go. Those of you who still think you can carry arms and guns and do a few other things, please, that's not a better profession. Drop those guns. Drop those wicked things. To you in Bamenda who are propagators of false information, please stop that thing. Stop that kind of communication. To those of you who are promoters of hate language, hate speech, you target only your own brothers and sisters to destroy. Please, we're not going to build this town with this attitude. To those of you who are pastors and preachers and movers of the gospel, your pulpit is not meant for you to condemn people. Your pulpit is for you to pull people out of the pit. Bamenda is probably in a pit. Use that pulpit to pull the people out of the pit. I entreat you, pastors, prophets, disciples, apostles, fathers, please, this city can only be better with your contribution. To the Bayam Selam and to the household people, the way you manage household waste will speak well of the healthy situation we enjoy in this city. The way you manage communications with your children and outsiders will help us clean this city better. I humbly beseech you. I love you so much, and I love this city so much, and it is the same I know for you. Therefore, with that heart of love, I tell you, look back in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter number 2 and the verses 2. There is no rock like our God. Trust him and you will not be disappointed.
Gabi Ambo, I want you to look at this camera right in front of you. Tell the people, tell those governing them, what is expected of them for us to have this precious gift of peace that God has given to humanity.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you, Sidime, for meeting you for the first moment. It's a good time we have together. I wish to address the authorities of Cameroon, most especially the authorities of Bamenda, that there are certain elements that definitely need to be addressed for people to have peace. And I crave your indulgence most devotedly to look at the engagements Cameroon has signed and ratified at the international level, at the regional level, and why not at the national level. We talk about the international conventions, treaties, and covenants that have been ratified by the country, proudly so, and the sections of the country definitely need to leave the impact of it. And so we should see that in our work, when we engage our work on ground, ensuring that the protection of the common man is at key, and I mean the first thing that's our prime concern. It's not about our own interest, it should be about the interest of the greater population. It's about the bigger picture, it's about the common man down there who definitely needs our protection, because they're the ones who form the majority of the country. If the country is 27 million, I think 20 million is made up of this kind of people. And so I think that we need to address them, focus on them, listen to them most especially, get to talk out with them, and you read their mindset, and you go with them alongside, think definitely will get on right. And the moment of normalcy definitely will crop up when the people start accepting the leadership of the country, the leadership of the region, from their honesty and transparency and accountability in the interventions that they carry out, will realize that the people gradually will be accepting that actually their government is for them, not against them. Their government is engaging actions intended to benefit them and every other one that comes out of that relationship in the circumstance. So we will definitely have a situation of normalcy. Of course, peace will just flow in as it got disconnected at some point in time.
Now to the people. They also have a responsibility.
Now for the people, it's for the people to understand that they have a responsibility as well, to be able to make the government be able to govern them, because they are the ones who got the government in place, and they need to be able to work, in line with the government to ensure that they have the best that they need to have. There should definitely be no conflict, but there could be disagreement, of course, that has a consensus at some point in time that will make reason to flow within the two parties. To say that, they have to be able to make the government see them as worthwhile citizens, see them as having a responsibility of contributing in making sure that leadership should not just be coming from government, because it can come from down, because our parents gave birth to us when we were still small. They never were in towns, they were in the villages, and they were leaders because of their reason. Okay, we think that the leadership that comes from ground, meeting with the leadership that has been put in place to govern, when they get together to talk, some reason will prevail, real peace actually will flow, genuine peace will flow, that will not require too much talking, too much education, or too much knowledge at that level, because the real elements have flown out. And the people and the government have accepted that actually their positions were shifted. Now they are getting new grounds on which they can build to move on in that order. That enabling environment needs to be created. That enabling environment needs to be created, and by the authorities that the people had put in place to create that enabling environment, then get the people's leadership on board, to talk with you, and you'll be marveled what happens the next day, and then we will definitely come back to what will lead the 3 days after the declaration of the Canadian facilitation proposal.
Gabi Ambo, civil society leader, human rights advocate, and consultant, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
The city mayor of Bamenda, Paul Achomba, thank you so much for accepting to talk to our viewers today.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. That's it for today. Goodbye.